how did the greeting Onowu emanate, and what does the greeting Onowu means? Onowu. Onowu. In Igbo land, you can say, like the people who take Ozo title, no Ozo Igbo Ndo. Kobo Obue Wonwu. Inende Madonwu. That means you're saving them. Kobo Yene Wonwu. That means you are doing the opposite of saving them. Yeah, but the greeting Onowu. Onowu. Under the Iyase title, you also have this other greeting, Odogwu. Odogwu is under the Iyase title. It's interesting that 3 greetings out of these 5 that I'm going to look at are under the Iyase title, Okweyese. Onowu is the first we have looked at as Onowu. The next one is Odogwu. Odogwu is a shortened version of Ndi Jiogweri, Ojiogweri, Ojiogweri, Odogwu. Those who live by fighting, those who strive, those who survive, those who live, who survive on the spoils of battle. Ndi Jiogweri, Ogubesha Erimewe. Now, the people greeted Odogwu in my own community, and not just in my own community. The people greeted Odogwu in Ibuzo, in Ubuluku, and in Ogwashuku are all descendants of Onre. Very interestingly, and they are greeted Odogwu. They are metal workers. Their work in ancient communities of Enuane was the making of weapons, such as Onoko. Onoko is our traditional name for a spear. So it is the people in this class of Ndi Ojiogweri, Ndi Odogwu, that are greeted Odogwu, Ojiogweri, and their ancestral deity is Idigwu. Somebody has tried to also relate Idigwu to the Yoruba god known as Idigun, Idigwu. I don't know. But Idigwu is the ancestral god of this group, and it is undoubted that they are from Uri, and they live in Obori in Ibuzo. They live in Ogwashuku, in Ubuluku. They live in 3 places. They are collectively called Umuikem in Ubuluku. They live in Igbo in Abuedo quarters of Ubuluku. They live in Ubulokiti. They live in Idumuomo in Obego quarters of Ubuluku. That's where the shrine Idigwu is. That's where they say Idigwu Idumuomo. They live in Onichuku quarters of Ubuluku. Their greeting is Odogwu, Ojiogwu, Eri. We have explained 2 greetings under the rank of Iyase. The third one is Odogwu. This is the controversial one. A lot of people tend to think that the greeting Odogwu is not an Igbo word. Some people have even tried to combine 2 words, saying Odo, meaning source, and Ogu, meaning what I don't know. They said it's an Igala word. Some say it's a Benin word. I will get to the stage where I will explain that initially there was nothing as Benin. Before the word Ile Binu came to be, there was an Igodomigodo led by Ogisos. Now, those Ogisos are made up of people from different areas, and we have Proto-Igbo speaking people in Igodomigodo. I don't think there's any Igbo person or Abanewa Igodomigodo. Obola okwu amancho la ko bobulo okwu ofunente. The word Igodo ko be Igodomigodo. Abu no okwu ofunente a Oyibo. Ko bo Enuan. The word Ogito abu no okwu ofunente Enuan ko bo ye Igbo. maka bụ na akpọ Bini kitani bụba ikpọ Anidu. Once bụ be ke mmadụ ji asụ wee na oji Anidu ka ọ bụ ke njeka Anidu ka ọ bụ na ejewa Anidu ka ọ bụ na ndị Idu wee bụ. Those are the people we regard as Bini of today. That Anidu is a part of Igbo land because Igbos also inhabited there before they had the invasion by Oromia, who instituted the kingship that led to Ayidu Noba, and people started dispersing. Most people ran away to distant communities. They are Igbo speaking. That is why you ask these people, where are they from? They will say they are from Benin. People like Akalaka, the founder of Oba, will say they are from Benin. You are not from any Benin. You are from Anidu. That is also why you will see the Pay and all those other places saying they are from Benin. You are not from, and people from Onichado, not from Benin. Onichado Nidu. Igbos did not just stop in Benin. They also lived in other places like Ado, even in Ife. We have the lineages of Obatala and the rest. So, I don't want us to deviate so much, but let's stick to this word, Odogwu, which we are trying to analyze. What is the meaning of Odogwu in Igbo? If it is an Igbo word, what does it mean in Igbo? We are trying to study now the etymology of the word Odogwu. If it is an Igbo word, what does it mean in Igbo language? I'm going to speak from the perspective of an Enuane person. That the word Odogwu is one of the class of chiefs under Okwa Iyase. Every Iyase was chief called Odogwu. The leader is like a captain under the general Iyase. He is a captain who leads fight. Odogwu. Look at how I explained Odogwu as Ojogweri. Will you ever have believed that Ojogweri can become Odogwu? That way, I want you to also know that Odogwu is Odogwu. Odogwu, because the function of an Odogwu is to go and lead people into fight, where the defense minister himself or the prime minister, who is the ESA, is not able to go. The Odogwu goes. I'm going to read. Now, we are not going to rule out the influence of our Benin neighbors in some of the titles, like I have rightly mentioned that the word Iyase is absolutely not of us, but probably of them. But the greeting of an Iyase is an Igbo word, meaning we have taken ownership of it. Iyase in the whole of Igbo land is greeted Ono, the whole of Enuane. And if you cross to the eastern Niger, who we are calling Ono, that we greet, who we call Iyase and we greet him Ono, Nyendi umuna enone akwụkwọ ofu abụọ mambala bụ nwa akpọ bụ Ono, nyanwe ekene bụ Ono, is the same thing. We have crossed Ono. We have also explained Odogwu. Now we are on Odogwu, and we have said that Odogwu is the one who leads fight, and he is under the class of chiefs known as Okwa Iyase. That is Okwa Ono. So let me read what Northcote Thomas, the same person, wrote about Odogwu. Each town has a head chief, though those which have been recently founded, like Obolobo. This will show you that Obolobo is a new community in Anyocha North, not Ubuluku, Obolobo. Or those which were barely within or not within the sphere of effective Benin influence. I've mentioned this Benin influence before. Have chiefs of only minor importance. Iyase is found in every town, for he is the spokesman of the town. Odogwu is found in nearly every town. Ozoma or Esama. Now I want you to listen to this. In bracket, if indeed these are identical. I love the sincerity of this writer. Ozoma is not Esama. Esama is not Ozoma. They are not the same thing. And Ozoma in Ubuluku, which is one of the oldest communities in Enuani, must be the immediate younger brother of the Obi, of the same mother and of the same father. That is the Ozoma. It is not the same with your Esama in Benin. They have their own method of appointing an Esama. We have our own method of appointing an Ozoma. The function of an Ozoma here also is different from the function of their own Esama. So let me continue. The Ozoma or Esama are found everywhere except in Ela and Ibuzo. Onishe is found at Asaba, Okpanam, Isele, Asaba, Ogwashuku, Ubuluku, Onitsha, Olona, Okunzo, and Nsukwa. But on the whole, though contiguous towns tend to have the same Orinzele, there is nothing like the same amount of grouping that we find in the distribution of the systems of titles. Now, in this case, we have examined the relationship between the word Odogwu and Iyase, and also gone ahead to explain what they mean. I'm looking to see if I can read more on a function of Odogwu, just like I read of the function of Iyase. If I can find it, will be good. If I can't, I will also go ahead. At Ubuluku, Iyase had control of the young men, for the Okwelegwe was only the superintendent of work. The Iyase was in charge of the building of Obi's house. He searched for runaway slaves belonging to Obi. In time of drought, he went to the bush and searched for a victim to offer to the Moor. But as a set of Ozoma, not Iyase, was properly the spokesperson of the Obi in a meeting. I'm very, very happy that we were able to exhaust the meaning of this word Iyase and the function of an Iyase. I believe the next thing we should look at is the meaning of Odogwu, another title in that same nomenclature. Odogwu means Ojenigwe. Ojenigwe, Odogwu, gregarious. Ndị Ejenigwe, they always move in groups. The people who take this title or this greeting in my hometown are Umuanugwe. They are greeted Odogwu, meaning they move in groups. They move in groups. Odogwu, Ojenigwe. And then the last of these titles that we decided to consider is Umogwu. Who is Umogwu? What makes somebody Umogwu? What qualifies anyone to be called Umogwu? And what is the meaning of Umogwu? Umogwu is a title given to a heir apparent. The heir apparent to the throne is called Umogwu. That is a title given to the heir apparent. Anyone who is a heir apparent to the throne is greeted Umogwu, is called Umogwu. The moment an Umogwu assumes his position as a king, the title expires. The descendants of that particular Umogwu, if he has, may want to continue answering Umogwu, but Umogwu is just a periodic title. Where it is a title, it is a name given to a heir apparent who has undergone all the rituals that qualifies him or her, as the case may be, because we have had female kings. Yes, we have had women kings. Now, if the woman or man is qualified by virtue of the processes that prepare somebody for the throne, the person can now be addressed as Umogwu. And the moment that person assumes the throne after the sitting king, makaso wene kita bụ nwa eze omenwune eze fe Umogwu eme eze. Umogwu is not a title that people hold for life. It's a title you hold until the sitting king passes. When the sitting king passes and the next person to be enthroned is called Umogwu. In fact, let me suffice this to say, if you did not reign as Umogwu, if you were not crowned or called Umogwu in your time, you have no business being called king in any Enuane community. I am speaking particularly from the example of the community where I hail from. If you were not called Umogwu, if you were not coronated Umogwu at any point, what then qualifies you to be called king? So it begins with Umogwu. The greeting Umogwu is reserved for a heir apparent. Once the heir apparent is brought to the throne, installed as a king, the title expires. If, for instance, the person had siblings who were called Umune Umogwu, immediately he is enthroned. The siblings become Umobi kwete kpowembo emeze Umune Obi. Because themselves and their sibling who was Umogwu were all answering the name Umwa Obi, but among Umwa Obi, they know who exactly, who particularly is the Umogwu. The Umogwu being the heir apparent. Once that heir apparent assumes leadership, his siblings become Umune Obi. Not too long after one is called a king's son or daughter, that person becomes a king's relative. That's a proverb that explains that nothing lasts forever. Whether power, fame, fortune, whatever you have, nothing lasts forever. And that things change. There's a period, there's a season in life. Be sure, be very, very sure that we will utilize this platform very well to promote videos and teachings as they pertain to our tradition and custom as Enuane people and as Igbo people of the Western Niger. I want to use this opportunity. Can we keneno? Up no Igbo ni maso. Can keneno? Kunu si ano ena no no ni bo Enuane Cultural Forum.